Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Inspired Riding interview series. We're continuing on with a wonderful inspired rider. Her name is Kelly Burk, and I'm so excited to have her here. She is an amazing artist as well, so it'll be really fun to chat with her. So thank you so much for being here, Kelly.
Well, thanks for having me, Beth.
You're welcome. So let's all just take a moment and take a nice deep breath together. I like starting that way. So if you want to breathe in and breathe out and relax your shoulders, and you can put your hands over your heart if you like. I'm sending love to all of you, and thank you so much for watching. If you're watching live, you can put it in the comments and I'll see if I can check here. And then if not, always just let us know in the replay if you're watching. Oh, good. It looks like it's actually showing up. This is good. Okay, cool. So let's start with a fun question for you, Kelly. Well, first, if you want to just talk about where you're from and what horses you have right now, that would be cool, just to kind of introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm from Deer Park, Washington, way up in the corner. And nice. I have two horses. I have Luna, who's 9 years old. She's Pentavian. And I have a 23-year-old paint mare. Her name is Cozy.
Love it. Well, I'm eager to hear more about them to share with the group. So we'll start with a fun icebreaker question. If I were to hand you $10 million right now, what would be the first thing you would do?
Oh gosh. That my mind goes a million different directions on that. I think the first thing I would do would probably be to pay off my property and develop it a little bit, maybe put up an indoor arena so we can avoid some weather challenges here. We've had a lot of snow and rain recently. But I think the next thing I would do would probably be to help some horses or people in need. And the first thing that comes to mind there is maybe rescue horses, slaughter horses. Luna came from that background, so that's kind of dear to my heart.
That's wonderful. I love that idea. So can you talk about when you first started riding and what that experience was like for you?
I started riding when I was 8 years old, and I was in second grade, and a friend and I got this wild idea that we wanted to ride horses. I don't remember where it came from, but our parents were like, no, that's too expensive. So we kept at it, and somehow we got it arranged so that we could take lessons together at a local farm called Springdale Farms. And I rode a little pink pony named Corky, and it was a really nice farm. I think it'd been an old racehorse farm, so they had an indoor, and they had a racetrack, and that was our goal, was to get out and ride on the racetrack. So that was a lot of fun.
Did you achieve that goal?
We did, yeah.
And what did Corky think of the racetrack?
Corky was good with everything. He was just a nice little pony for anybody to start riding on. So.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned that, because I started at 8 years old and I rode a little paint pony. His name was Al, and they called him Aloysius.
Aloysius.
He was not as nice as your Corky. He was a little tricky, and he would randomly buck, and I just thought that was part of riding.
Oh, wow. You got introduced early on there.
Yeah, I was thrown in the deep end early, but that's really cute. I'm glad you got to do that. Is your friend still riding that you started with?
You know, I'm not sure. I've moved since then, and we kind of lost contact, so she probably is.
I'm glad you had a friend to start with. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Are there any life lessons that horses have taught you?
I'd say yes. I think that mostly relationship lessons, that you really have to put the time in to have a good relationship, as well as developing trust. And, you know, if you put the work in, you get good results. I think that's one of the things I've really come away with from horses. If you're steadfast and you put the work in, that you'll get the results.
Absolutely, so true. Your horses are lucky to have you because you're so consistent with them.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. So speaking of that, do you have or have had a heart horse? And if so, what made them special?
That's really tough because they're all heart horses to me, I think. But I would say my first horse was the one I developed the greatest relationship with. And she was kind of a difficult horse. She would run away from you, when you go out to catch her. And she was a school horse, but she just wasn't very interested in people. I don't think she'd had a lot of good experiences. But over time, I spent a lot of time just going out there. I'd sit on the fence, I'd bring her treats, I'd brush her, things that didn't have to do with riding. And she really started coming around. I'd get her to the point where I'd just go out and sit on the fence and whistle, and she'd come running. So that was really great, considering where she started. And she, I had her for 13 years, and we just really developed a tight relationship. We could do anything. Ride with just a halter, or we did all kinds of, she was trained saddle seat, but she also knew how to neck rein from somewhere, and she would jump for me. She trail rode. It's just an all-around great horse. And I think a lot of that was just the time spent and the relationship developed, led to that kind of a close relationship with her. So she's, she was the first. She was great.
That's beautiful. How old were you when you got her?
I think 11.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah, that's another story. I don't know if you want to get into that.
Sure. Yeah, if you'd like.
Just by chance, I had a friend, her aunt was a tri-state saddle seat champ, and they had their own farm. And this horse was on the farm, but the owner had passed away. So she was just kind of on her own. But they used her for lessons, and I was the only kid that actually could ride her. Anyway, this aunt kind of took us under her wing and took us to shows, did 4-H, just really educated us on horses. And I think it's, she was really an inspiration for riding, and what it could lead to.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
It sounds like that mare chose you too, if you're the only one who could ride her.
Yeah, I think we're kind of chose each other.
I love it.
But yeah, eventually she came up for sale because of the death of her owner. The daughter inherited her, but they didn't get along too well. She'd come out every 6 months where I'd get thrown.
Oh my gosh.
So the horse came up for sale, and my mom knew the owner's wife, and so she was able to buy her on time. So we couldn't really afford a horse, but between that situation and the place boarding her at cost, I was able to have a horse. So that was really kind of a miracle in itself there.
Yeah, I love how things like that work out. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What was her name?
Her name was Duchess.
Duchess. Oh, I love it.
Little black Arab saddlebred cross.
Oh, wow. She sounds amazing. I love that she transformed from running away to coming at a whistle. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah. I think she just needed somebody to spend the time and love on her.
Yeah, and that's really what it takes. Then they know they're appreciated and loved. And I tell my guys all the time, and even Velvet, how much I appreciate them and love them, and then they kiss me. It's so cute. I get so many little licks. That's just their thing. Yep. Do your horses do that at all?
Oh, lick and cuddle?
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
That's cool. Do you want to talk more about your girls now?
Oh, about Luna and Cozy?
Mm-hmm.
What would you like to know about them?
How did you find them, and what do you do with them now?
Oh, Well, Cozy was kind of a lucky find. I had two horses, and my horse Stormy that I had before her had a kind of a freak accident. She actually broke her leg, and we had to put her down.
Oh, sorry.
Anyway, it was fall, and my other horse, he was lonely. We needed to get another companion for him. So I started looking. I looked all the usual reputable places, that we could find another horse for him, and didn't find anything because of the time of year. And so I looked on Craigslist, which is not something I'd recommend, but I found this wonderful little horse. She looks a lot like Stormy, but she was cantering with some kids in a round pen, and she just, she was advertised, I think it's like a 4-H project or something. So I went and looked at her, and because of the time of year and late fall, they just dropped the price on her, and I rode her and we brought her home.
It's amazing.
But she's just been such a great horse. She's a registered paint. She's fully trained. She does English and Western. Just a really lucky find.
Wonderful.
So I've had her for like, I don't know, 10 years or something now.
Oh, cool.
And then Luna, after my last horse, Legend, passed away, we were down to one horse again. And I thought, oh, we got Cozy, and she's 23. Maybe we should just, wrap it up. But I started looking on a site called Dream Horse.
Yes.
I thought, well, I put in my favorite breeds, which were Arabian, paint, and quarter horse, and it pulled up this ad on a little horse that was called a Pentavian, which I'm like, what's a Pentavian? I've never heard of that. But they're mostly Arab with the pinto coloring. And so I went and looked at her, and they had brought her to the trainers, and she's deaf, but this trainer had connected with her and had taught her all kinds of stuff. It was obvious she's very bright, followed hand signals, worked off the seat. Just a really lovely horse. So she was green broke, but I brought her home, and after I had bought her, the owner said she had a little history, and so she sent me pictures of her. Apparently, the previous owner had just been online looking for a blue-eyed pinto, and this picture came up of Luna, and so she had her shipped from Ohio to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, which is pretty close to us. Originally, she had come from a kill pen rescue in Ohio. Apparently, there was like they don't know the total history, but probably a farm that was broken down and sold out of Michigan that had been breeding these horses, and she had pictures from the person that really originally rescued her, was a photographer, so she had gone in to document the process and save this horse. So there were pictures of her, through this rescue process, along with her siblings from the same farm. So this person took her home. Apparently had a lot of problems with her. She was really pretty wild, I guess. So the horse was in pretty rough condition when she got here, because originally the rescues that took her out of that situation were having a lot of trouble handling her. They just had her in a box stall, and the horse was kind of freaking out. So she was really lucky all the way around. She got shipped out here to a nice home. She got rehabbed. She got trained, and then she found us. So
yeah, she won the pony lotto.
Yeah, we won the lotto too. So she's pretty awesome horse.
So what sort of things do you have to be aware of with her being deaf, working with it?
Gosh, if I didn't know she was deaf, you might not even know it.
Oh, wow.
But I guess they figured it out, because little things like she wouldn't come when called. She didn't recognize her name or even respond to that. But I think mostly you just have to be really aware that she sees you and understands what you're doing ahead of time. Like if you're going out in the pasture, she might be sleeping and not even see you till you're, you know, within a few feet of her, because she doesn't hear you coming.
Does she get spooked, or is she pretty stoic and steadfast?
She has a really good spook in place, so if she
Okay.
if she gets surprised, she doesn't freak out. It's just a little jolt, you know, and then she's settles pretty quick.
That's good. That's really good.
Yeah, but
That's
you know, also in writing, she doesn't hear the voice cues. You have to pay attention to your seat and um,
and your energy, I would think she feels that.
what's that?
She would feel your energy more, I would think.
Yeah, she's really responsive. She really cues into it. So it's kind of a cool writing experience.
I would think so. I've never worked with a horse that was deaf, so I've been fascinated by you and your mare. So
It's been tried and tested. I guess the trainer said she shot a gun off of her and there was no response. So they were even thinking maybe mounting shooting might be her forte. So.
why not, right? Or even even the mounted archery could be fun. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's
That's
awesome.
not me, but it was a thought, right?
Yeah, so cool. Well, speaking of you, did you have any life goals? Do you have any life goals? And if so, how have horses influenced them?
I think I would go back to saying that my horses really initially taught me to be hardworking and stick with a commitment. So that's played into just about everything I've done. You know, I'm kind of a or just a really steadfast person. I think that's horses that put that into me. But you know, at this point, I'm retired, and my goal is just to be healthy and happy. And um, horses are great. They get you up in the morning. You go out there and get outside right away and connect with them, and that's the happy part. And you know, healthy is chores and riding.
You've been painting more horses, is that correct?
That's my goal this year. I'm a watercolor artist. I love to paint. Horses have always been my favorite subject. I started as a kid with a book on Frederick Remington paintings, and I used to sit and sketch those things for hours and hours. So.
That's so cool.
Still drawing and painting horses. So that's my goal this year, is to do a lot of horse paintings.
Beautiful. Now, will you be doing them for other people or just for your own enjoyment? Or
well, I just did a watercolor show. Was called In Nature, and it's a lot of landscapes. I had some animals and other things, paintings of other things in it too. But I thought for maybe a show next year, I'd focus on painting horses and do some kind of show from that theme.
that'd be fantastic. You'll have to let us know for sure. I love it. So let's see. What are some of the things you do with your horses, and is it different from when you got started with riding?
Yeah, some of the things I do with my horses now, with Luna last year, we did a lot of trail riding, which is something I just, you know, kind of did on the side as a kid. But there's a ton of places to ride around here, so I found a friend that likes to trail ride, and we hauled all over the place last year. Her trainer liked to do obstacles with her, and I mean, if you saw her arena, it was just like filled with filled with obstacles for the horse.
Playground.
Pinwheels blowing on every fence post, and you know, all kinds of weird stuff. And she used to take her to local obstacle course for training. So Luna loves obstacles. She knows she's good at that. So, that's mostly what I do with her. And Cozy had some health issues last year, so we kind of cut off riding partway through the year. But she's does Western pleasure, and she'll go English too. She doesn't mind doing that. I've had some pictures given to me of her showing English in 4-H, so she has some background in that.
That's cool. It's nice to have some variety with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I bet they like that too.
And dying to try a little English with Luna. Had my dressage saddle on her a few times.
I think that would be so fun. Yeah. You guys would look fabulous. And I'm sure she'd enjoy it too.
Yeah. Something different.
Totally. Let's see. What's something you wish you had known from the start of your horse journey?
What comes to mind on this is that horses really need like a pause after you ask for something to think it through and respond. And I think I've always been kind of quick, ask, I want it, let's do it. Instead of ask, wait for the response, listen for what the horse has to say, or make sure they understand it before going ahead.
That's a huge shift. And that's something I've been working on myself. So I'm glad you said that.
They figure it out after a while, just by repetition, but gosh, they're learning a different language, trying to listen to us.
Yeah, and it feels like the more we listen and get quiet, then the more we're going to understand their language too.
Yeah, you notice things when you take the time.
Yep, it's a lot different from I ask, you do it, let's go, to I ask, a request, breathe, pause, breathe, smile, appreciate you're actually sitting on them.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
Her trainer said something to me. I wrote down the things this lady said because she's really intelligent with horses. But she said, don't just ride her, teach her, and wait for the horse, let the horse finish it. Ask for something and let the horse finish it.
Oh, I love that. That's beautiful. Yeah.
Because then, they've thought it through and they have learned something there.
Yep. And then they're actually putting all the pieces together. And then the light bulbs are happening. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So cool. Let's see what's next. Have you ever worked with a rescue horse or one that needed extra support in their well-being? If so, what tips do you have for others to help with these types of horses?
Luna is the first horse I've ever had that has had that rescues background. And gosh, I didn't know it when I looked at her or bought her initially. But just to not push, you got to wait till the horse is ready, because that trust is very fragile. And if you lose it, it's really hard to, it takes a lot of time to get it back. So you got to watch for what their limits are and respect that, I would say.
It's so important to let them show you when they're ready for things.
Right. And, when they're not ready for things.
Yes, they're usually more clear about that. No, thank you. Oh my goodness. Let's see. Is there something new that you've learned lately? Excuse me, 1 second.
There's a lot of new things I've been learning lately, I guess. I'm always in the learning mode. I like to, I belong to a couple training programs. I do the TRT. Tristan Tucker has a lot of videos out, so I belong to that. And I've been trying to run my horses through some of those lessons that he teaches. Ground patterns, and recently Luna and I had been working on the clock pattern, which is kind of fun. You get them thinking and responding to moving their feet. And then that translates directly over to riding the way he does it. So
I love it.
yeah.
It's good to keep learning all the time.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
I don't know if you've ever seen the movie The Matrix, but I feel like I'm always like trying to download as much as I can.
Yeah. I think, you know, some of that leads to other learning too, because I had to learn how to shoot a YouTube or video and post it up to YouTube, which is, you know, I've never filmed my writing before. So that was kind of neat for a few reasons. You can go back and look at it, or, you know, see what the horse has actually done. I mean, you can see in videos what they're learning and able to demonstrate, and maybe you don't remember that when you're working with them.
Yes, and you can see their expressions a little bit better as well, of course, on the video.
Yeah.
I really appreciate seeing that, because then I'm like, oh, he looks a little stressed here. Oh, he looks pretty happy here. Oh, he's got that funny, mischievous look right now.
Must be talking about Pepper.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. But yeah, it's so good. I love having videos available to watch your progress. And that was actually the first time I saw myself in a dressage lesson, you know, because I was a hunter jumper rider for a long time. And my first video of myself trying to do a sit trot on my thoroughbred, I watched it, and I was in the clinic for the weekend. So I watched my Saturday video, and Sunday I was so much better, because I was like, I don't want to look like that. So I was able to like visualize how I needed to shift it, and it was amazing. So yeah, I really recommend doing more of those videos. That's going to help.
Yeah, I kind of got it figured out now. So
so good. I love it. Okay, what's one of the best pieces of advice you were ever given about horses?
I think to read your horse each day. Just notice where they're at, because a horse is not the same every day. They have difference in maybe how they're feeling, or what they're thinking, or if they're distracted. You know, I always take time to notice how the horse is before I get on.
So important.
So, read your horse before you
I like
you
it.
get on them. So
good.
Really good advice.
Yeah, I think I had another trainer tell me every day is a new day with them.
Right. I would call that an Arab lesson. I used to have a hot little Arab mare, and you never know what you're going to get. So put her out on the lunge line and see what she's thinking first.
That's probably very smart. Not only is it nice to the horse, but it's also good to get a sense of what you're in for. So. Yeah.
Some days are not riding days.
Yeah. And that's okay. And that's good. It's good to acknowledge that. Let's see. Who's your greatest influence when it comes to being a rider?
I would go back to my friend's aunt that I was telling you about earlier. Her name was Janet McMinn, and she was a great teacher. She, you know, was patient and taught us all the basics of horsemanship, not just riding, but how to, you know, you never got to get on a horse unless you groomed and your tack was clean. Horses' feet were picked out and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, she taught us a lot about horses. She taught us to be kind to horses, and just to be an all-around good horseman. A lot of times, you know, we'd ride in the arena, but some days we'd go out on the trail, or, you know, just groom the horse, or and she was inspirational in another way, because she'd achieved some saddle seat expertise in her own right there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love that she instilled all that foundation in you. That's awesome. So
yeah, that and 4-H.
Oh, I'm sure. What did you like the most about 4-H?
Gosh, everything. I was kind of a quiet kid, but I was the president of my 4-H club. I could really get into that, and I went all the way through to the judging and the junior leadership part of it. So, you know, showing and learning all those things, but then being able to pass them on to the younger kids and help them with the showing and learning their 4-H lessons. So that was cool.
That's fantastic. What animals did you show for 4-H?
Just horses.
Just horses. Okay. Okay. I wasn't sure if you expanded into other animals too.
No, only horses.
That's cool. We're very similar in this group. We're very horse focused and I love it. And we add some cats and dogs here and there. You know?
Yeah. Isn't that crazy though, that you can have that interest when you're a young kid? Here I am. I'm not going to say how old I am, but, you know, later in life, I'm still interested in that. It becomes a real passion for you.
It really is amazing. I think the inner child, if you keep feeding it, it's always going to be there. And I like to say we're all ageless because it's weird how time goes. Like you can tap into the energy of any age you want. Yeah.
I think, you know, you talk about bookmarking a feeling or a situation, and gosh, that's got to be what it is for me. When I get on a horse, that feeling I had when I was a kid, that connection, that's that bookmark feeling there.
I love that. And that's actually something I say when I get on. It's like, I'm coming home. Because it's like you're connecting back to yourself and to your happy place. And that to me is home, you know? Yeah.
Absolutely.
So beautiful. Let's see. How does your horse make you laugh?
Oh, gosh. Well, I think of a situation recently. I was working on teaching the horses to back up and stand and wait until I call them to come towards the feeder.
Yeah.
And Luna's got this. Boy, as soon as I enter the barn, she parks it. And it's kind of funny because now every time I come in the barn, she parks in that position like, hey, you know, how about a snack?
Can you feed me now?
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that. Ever hopeful.
Pretty cute. Yeah. You can see the look on her face. She's got her head up and her eyes are all perky, like, here I am, I've done it.
It's hilarious. I love it. She's very smart. Yeah. So cool. Well, is there anything else that you'd like to share that I didn't ask you?
I think just to, you know, horses give so much and they don't really owe us anything, but they work for us and they respond to us. And I think we just need to really respect that. You know, value them, respect them, and give them a good life.
Yeah, we owe them.
We do owe them.
Totally. So if I were to ask you, if you had a billboard that everyone in the horse world could see, what would it say?
I think it would say to invest in the relationship first, and the rest will naturally follow.
I love that. Thank you so much. This was really fun to chat with you, Kelly.
Thank you.
And I'm going to post another comment of your beautiful painting that I shared, so that way it's under this video so everyone can see it again, because it's just lovely.
Thank you. Yeah. I'll share a few horse paintings as I go.
That would be great. Anytime you want, just put it in our group. We'll love to see that. So.
Okay, great.
Cool. Well, thanks again for being here. And
thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And remember, everyone, to lead with kindness for yourself and for your horse. Thank you so much for watching and listening. May the horse be with you always.